Hello everyone, Burb here. Admire Vega is releasing tomorrow, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to the support card banner that's releasing tomorrow, but as characters are released, I like to go over their kits and try to compile as much as possible and fit them all into one singular video. So this is everything that I have compiled about Admire Vega. Let's begin. So I like to start these videos out by talking to the Oshi players. If this is your favorite character that you want to pull for, I try to give you some validation to put you over the edge, because the worst thing you can do is to have cold feet right before the banner for the character that you like. I'm going to speak honestly here. There's been a lot of negativity spoken about this character. I'm not going to just be contrarian about it for the sake of being contrarian. There is a few redeeming qualities about this character. This character does not have any top meta implications. She can be run. She is not absolutely horrible. She has use, okay? And I'm not just saying that just to be contrarian. There are two things that you're really signing up for with this character. One, you are trying to build cinema builds with this character. Her ultimate requires you to be in pretty much the back quarter of the pack in order to get full value. So you're going to be wanting to go from 8 to first, and that seems like it's not going to happen that much. But the times where it's done, you're going to really, really enjoy watching this character. That is probably the main reason why you would want to pull for this character, is if you enjoy watching come from behind victories, because that's what she is built for. It is not the strongest strategy by any means, and her ultimate still does stuff when it's not in the back of the pack. It is just weaker. So you're signing up for a cinema build. If you remember my cinema Aguri cap, you basically pump all the late race skills as you can, and you hope you have enough speed to go from all the way in the back of the pack to all the way in the front of the pack. The other thing that this character has that is a little more substantive than just a viewing experience is affinities. She has very good affinities with one particular character that is very hard to get affinities for, but also for quite a few other end closers. And yes, her ultimate is not the best inherit in the world, but because she has just such high affinity, she works really well as an engine for actually building parents. So there are uses for this character. They are a little bit more niche, and it's certainly no Oguri Cap Christmas or Mahona Bourbon Valentine. There's not much ease of use in this character. There's not much top meta viability in this character, but she is certainly viable. So you Oshi players, if you're following your pull plan, she is perfectly fine. I know that was long-winded, but there's just been so much negativity about this character that I've seen from people, and it certainly isn't the best, but it certainly isn't the worst. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Let's talk about Admire Vega's kit itself. So her aptitudes for housekeeping: turf track, medium, end closer are her A's, but she can be flexed into mile or long, as well as late surger. But truthfully, she really is built to be an end closer, both her ultimate as well as her skills themselves. Notably, she's going to be very good. Her ultimate works in medium tracks and long tracks, and the fact she has mile C is actually really good for Mant, because you may want one mile spark just to get it to B for consistency's sake, but C is even just fine. You're just going to be burning through a couple clocks throughout the run. So she has mile C, which is the bare minimum to get for Mant, really, because you will have access to all the mile races for the career, and if you get it to B by just sacrificing one parent spark per mile, you will have pretty good consistency in those mile races. So she's very usable in Mant in that way, and she is certainly an end closer focused character. You can stretch her into late. I don't see much reason to. The only thing is that late surgers kind of have more accelerations on certain tracks, but that's more of an Oshi thing than just running her standard end closer. Her stat bonuses: she has a very comfy stat bonus set of 20% power and 10% speed. This means you want to pretty much be running speed wit decks a lot. Mant has kind of screwed up a lot of the builds. I don't know 100% of things for Mant, but I know that a lot of people, you can run 3 speed, 3 wit a lot of times, but you can also run 2 speed, 2 wit, and 2 off cards. These may not be the particular cards that you use, but essentially you want to be pressing the speed button, you're wanting to be pressing the power button, and wit is usually just always good to press, even in Mant. So something along the lines of 2 speed, 2 wit, and 2 power should be enough to hit max speed, with maybe a couple of sparks for the sprint and mile races. But again, she's not really a sprint or mile track runner. For mediums and longs, you really have a little bit of an issue because you don't have any stamina bonus, so you're going to have to be running probably multiple stamina cards. If your stamina sparks could be enough with just Super Creek, but if you are a more free-to-play player and you don't have all these cards above, really, you can pretty much you have a dilemma that you want to be running like Hishi Amazon Power, but you really kind of need 2 stamina cards to function in especially this first long CM. There is a card that is omitted from all of these builds, and that is of course Ayabe Power and Admire Vega Guts. These 2 are the same character as Admire Vega. This is Admire Vega Power, this is Admire Vega Guts. So you do not have access to Daring Strike until Mr. CB comes out in about 7 to 8 weeks. This is a problem because, well, Daring Strike is a premier end closer skill. But then again, you are trying to be in the back quarter of the pack if you're trying to run cinema mode, so it may not be the absolute end of the world, but it is yet another thing that she kind of, it was not well thought out on this release timing. So Mr. CB Wit solves this problem, but for now you will not have access to Daring Strike. And the Guts build is a little wonky because you do not have access to the Premier Guts card that has the speed bonus attached to it and the power bonus attached to it that allows the Guts build to actually function properly. So again, man screwed up the builds. Don't take the original cards to mean anything, but generally you just want to be pressing speed and pressing the power button. Her ultimate, Shooting Star of Descroy, Shooting Star, not to be confused with, I guess, Johnny Musume's ultimate Shooting Star. Increase velocity with guidance from the stars when far from the lead on the final straight. If positioned around the very back, greatly increase velocity instead. This breaks down into a pretty simple ultimate. Is it the last straight? Is the distance between you and the front greater than or equal to 5 meters? And is the difference, if it's greatly increased velocity in the very back, is if you are greater than 80% order rate or equal to. If you're less than that, which is 7th position, so 7th or better, you will have a 0.35 target speed increase. If you are 7th or worse, 6th or better, it is 6th or better, 0.35, and 7th or worse, you will have a 0.45 for 5 seconds. So we're going to go through this ultimate. Final straight on longs and mediums, you will never have a problem with the Excel zone eating up your ultimate. Is last straight happens really at the final bit of the race in those longs, and the spurt is starting much before this. You won't have any problem. There's usually, because this is a conditional base ultimate with a very easy condition that we're going to find, it most likely is going to proc at the very, very start of the race. There's very few situations where it would not start in the end closer or late surger position. If you're running your front runner, maybe, and that's really weird for reasons I will get into, but yeah, you will always pretty much get the full effect from it on longs and mediums. On miles and on sprints, the problem is, of course, the final straight is too close to the spurt itself. This is one of the most favorable ones, and this timing still does not actually speed carry over her because it's just too fast. You don't get up to max speed. So this is Tokyo 1600 meter. It gives you a little bit because it is technically before the spurt, but it's not the best thing in the world. And almost every single sprint track and almost every single mile track, the final straight happens after or directly close to this spurt itself. So you can gamble it on this, but I don't think it works. So the next one is if your distance is more than 5 meters. So 5 meters is 2 horse lengths. If you're outside of 5 horse lengths and you're on the final straight, your ultimate will proc. Notably, the final condition is if you are in 7th or worse. So if there's 6 horses in front of you, you get the greater effect. Otherwise, if you're anywhere inside the mid pack, which is kind of what end closers want to do, is they want to push up into the pack and then use their greater end closing speed to push up that little extra bit. Whereas late surgers kind of sit in the back of the pack and try to hit like on your left and stuff. You're essentially going to be proccing this one most times, and that's really the problem. Is you're going to be proccing a 0.35 for 5 seconds. The final thing to think about is that, hey, if you for some reason are within 2 horse lengths of the leader, and then you move outside of it, and the front leader runs away from you, you will proc your ultimate at that point on that final straight. This is not a pass protect build. If you run this on a front runner and someone is passing you and gets outside of 5 meters, you are losing that race because you have already been passed and then some. So this is not a pass protect build at all. I know the last two Umas have had pass protect ultimates. This just unfortunately means that Encloser has been shooting you past you a lot faster than you, and you're not catching up to that point. However, because this is a comprehensive video and I thought of this, it may work, but there is one track where the final straight is the first straight, which is the Nagata 1000 meter, which there is actually a CM in a couple of years that does this. It's just kind of a funny thing. Because this is the final straight, the entire track is it. So hypothetically, if you're starting out the race and then you proc Umastan, and your Umastan is going to cancel down your PDM, but then your pace down mode happens at the end of Umastan and you're still not at the position keep, so the game pushes you back. Well, then you're pushed back 5 meters and your ultimate now procs. So essentially in this one track, in this one situation, for some reason you have a pace down mode breaker. Theoretically, I have no idea if it's coded to be like this, but theoretically, you have a pace down mode breaker on a singular track that is going to be a lot weaker than certain other horses that are on this track. But it's just kind of a funny thing. And hey, like I said, if I think of something, I put it in the video. Again, if this doesn't work, correct me. But I thought it was just kind of funny, so I included it. Her problem is, again, we do the Oguri Cap Triumph Pulse comparison. Most times you're going to be proccing the base ultimate of 0.35. If you're proccing the bigger ultimate, you're in the back part of the pack. There's possibly things like late surging where you want to be on your left, but the problem is that the final straight happens after the Excel zone, so you're trying to get towards the front of the pack, and if you're still in 6th place on the final straight, on longs especially, but even some mediums, you're not really winning the race. The exception of that is if you have so much late race skill that you're able to get past it, but that is few and far between. I don't think it is very much. So most times you're going to be proccing the 0.35, and of course 0.35 is 77% of a 0.45, and because they have the same duration, you essentially have a slightly weaker Triumphant Pulse. Now, this is what I've said in every other video with this. Triumphant Pulse is possibly one of the best ultimates in the game, if not the best late race ultimate in the game. It also is position-based, and this is not position-based. This will almost always proc. It will pretty much always proc. So that's your trade-off, is this ultimate will always proc. This ultimate is 2nd through 5th, technically. So this is like 2nd through 9th, 2nd through 5th. It's a trade-off, but Oguri Cap does have a better ultimate, let's be honest. And the thing is that the Inherit is not much greater. It is simply just a white skill 90% of the time. If you are in the cope mode of 7th, 8th, 9th, or 9th, then, well, you do get a 0.25, which matches Rudolph, which matches Oguri Cap, which matches TM Opera O, but it is one of the harder conditions to actually meet for the 0.25 bonus. So the Inherit is simply a white skill. All right, so when I get a glass of water, one sec. All right, so let's talk about her skills. She comes with Nimble Navigator. That's really her best skill. Nimble Navigator is going to be harder to come by. So does Oguri Cap, like I said. So she comes with Nimble Navigator innately. Nothing you have to do for it. And she comes with some really weird debuffs with Tether and Subdued Pace Chasers, which aren't that great. Her 2 gold skills are Serenity and Storm and Drung. Serenity has the problem that you have block front continue time 1 second, so you have to be blocked for a second. And normally if you're blocked for a second, you've at least bumped into them once. And so it's an undesirable situation for a recovery. So it's not going to happen every time, so you can't really count on it. It's no corner recovery. It's no straightaway recovery. It's kind of like the unruffled problem or the indomitable problem where you don't want to be blocked, and it's not going to happen every time. So when you're running it with long races, it's not something you can count on. Storm and Drung has the problem that phase random equals 2, which is the late race, will always have some part of the Excel zone. So in the late race, it'll pick a random point on this, which it could be here and be fine. It could be here and be fine. It could be here and be completely eaten up by the acceleration zone. So Storm and Drung always has the problem that there always is a dead zone at the front. I do not know if they ever fix this. They may do second half of the spurt, and then it's just a standard late race speed skill. But it has that issue, and Hishi Amazon has this problem as well. You do get skills from events. So the one that is disabled from Mant is Synergy of Stars, which is basically if you beat TM Upper O, Meisho Dodo, or Narita Top Road, which I believe are in all of her goal races and possibly the Arima Keenan. If you beat these characters 8 times, you get end closer straights and corners. Anything from 6 or 7, you get end closer corners +2, and anything 0 to 5. So at the very least, when it's not Make a New Track, you would get end closer corners. But unfortunately, Make a New Track disables this. You're not getting either of these two skills, which are very, very nice. Again, this is Hishi Amazon just has that, and she doesn't. So it's another thing that makes this character a little bit tough. You also have the character event. This is the big one. Ayabe makes a sandwich where you get to choose between straight adept, straightaway spurt, medium straightaways, or lay low. I think 9 times out of 10 you're going to use straightaway spurt unless you get that from a different source at some point. The big problem with this is that it is a 1 in 3 option. I do believe that they will weight this a little bit because I think every single 50-50 in the game is slightly weighted to the favorable option. So this may be like a 50-25-25, but it's still weird that they protect straightaway spurts so much still when they've given it on like a Narita Taishin and Tamamo Cross. So it's just really awkward that this is sort of a spurt character, but it's not strong enough to like not run like Hishi Amazon SR just for the skill proc or run it through parents. So again, it's a little bit tough. Her final event really that's useful is her costume event. She has a double chance to get Charming like Sakura Bakashino, so you will have 2 chances to get Charming rather than just the standard 1. Her career is very easy. She has what I like to call a vodka style career. So she's a medium mile horse that uses a participate in a long race. So she starts with long C. So if you're building her for long, you probably will win the Kukuka show, but you can actually build her for mile or medium, and you won't really have to worry about running in the Tenno Show Spring or running in the Kukuka show and having to win. Those are the 2 big things that do it. Again, this entire career is disabled during Make a New Track Blazer. All right, her CM viability, her skills are track agnostic, so there's no specific thing about every track that really cares. It's more about distance. So pretty much any any medium or long CM, she will be perfectly viable. Her ultimate always works on the final straight. This is Pisces Cup, so your spurt's up here, her ultimate proc's here, and it has plenty of room. Eventually, when we get to the Tokyo Turf one, again, this is more what I was talking about with the straightaways. Usually after the spurt, this gets eaten up by acceleration completely. So on those miles and on those sprints, it's just her ultimate just gets completely eaten. So you're running vanilla end closer with no actual ultimate. So she has some issues in miles and sprint CMs. She has every single medium and long. You can at least run her and her ultimate will work. So, okay, her big thing that is her redeeming quality, if there is one, is she has really good affinities, specifically with one character that is very popular and very, very good, which is Narita Taishin, a character that's a little bit notable for not having very many characters that have high affinity. She has the highest affinity in the game with Narita Taishin, and it remains that way to present day in Japan as well. I just checked the affinity calculator for it. It is 32 in Japan, and the next highest is 28 for Narita Taishin. The other one that she has really good affinity with is Gold Chip, but Gold Chip has many options for obvious reasons if you know the lore. So she has good affinities with 2 really, really, really good high meta end closers, as well as having great affinity with Ticket, but also with Hishi Amazon and with Tamamo Cross. So pretty much every single end closer has very good affinity with her, and you can make parents with her that have a good engine base to pass on whites, but also pass on blues and pinks. And the pinks she's particularly good at as well, because yet again we have another character with just 3 A's. So you either get a turf spark, a medium spark, an end spark, or one that you are building. So worst case scenario, if you like turf sparks like I do, and you think end sparks are decent, right? You have a 2 out of 3 chance at the very least to get something good, or a 3 out of 4 chance if you're trying to force like a long spark or a mile spark. So whatever you're forcing, as long as you keep it clean, you have like at worst a 50-50 for something decent. or a 1 in 4 if you really only want one type of spark. So she is very, very easy to pass along good pinks, and she is very, very easy to pass along everything because her affinity is so high. So in conclusion, medium long horse, she has good parent affinity, she has good parent aptitudes, she has a very comfy stat bonuses. Her problems is her skills are very iffy. She's still protecting straightaway spurt for quite a while, and it's really weird. It's frustrating that this character could be so good, but she is just right in the middle because everything about the kit is just, everything's like a 50-50 on her. So she is perfectly viable to run. She has her moments. She is very good for parenting. Again, her ultimate is not the greatest to pass on, but just passing on the rest of the stuff with her high affinity is very, very good. So bring some late race skills on her. Try to go and run the cinema builds on her. I think that you will find that she performs quite admirably. All right, we're out.